Hi, this is Nigel from Real Time Heart Based. A few things to talk about today. We've had over the last week or so amazing announcements about more and more stimulus. The estimate currently is that there's going to be about $8 trillion used for stimulus. Now, for a lot of people at the moment, there's so much anxiety, their jobs are going, they don't know what's going to happen. And so right now, I guess the news of this stimulus would be quite welcome. However, if we look longer term, if this crisis, which is a human crisis, does go on for up to 12 months until a vaccine's available, how much more money will be needed? There's this view of hibernating some businesses and then restarting them when we come out of this. How about the fact, though, that this will all be a life-changing experience for us all? How do we know what we're going to want when we come out of this? Having gone through the trauma, the fear, the loss of life, the loss of time with our loved ones, the isolation, how are we going to really feel and what will we really want? So this time of anxiety, we believe, could be dealt with in a completely different way. If the governments of the world, instead of spending lots of money, focused on essential human needs. So what that means is that human needs such as home loan repayments, rents, all power, water, gas, rates, any bills really, food, internet, mobile, all of the things that we need every day that we've been paying for. Right now, we're suggesting that they're all free. So the government, instead of working on trying to pump money into the economy to allow us to pay for these things, maybe they should not be paid for at all. We can ration the food if we need to. But if you consider the fact that if, for example, the supply chain is looked at, so that oil, all the inputs to power, for example, oil, gas, coal, if those organisations were asked to donate freely, until this crisis is over, and let's face it, they've all made a lot of money out of all of us over this time. So if they were asked to donate supplies to all countries for this, then you can imagine what effect that would have on the organisations that use those inputs to deliver their services. So right now, instead of worrying about how we're all going to pay, we would suddenly not need to pay. So we would live as we are. So when we talk about hibernating, we would actually hibernate the money system, the financial system, the share markets. Because how would shares really be valued right now? We don't know how long it's going to go on for. We don't know which industries will be needed afterwards. So it's really hard to arrive at a value. So rather than trying, why don't we just freeze it? And then we can focus on living, surviving, and actually helping each other. Surely this would be far simpler than every day having another event that the government needs to think about putting money into. We can effectively just put money on the back burner and live more easily, live more caringly, live more lovingly. We can focus on, instead of the anxiety, we can focus on repurposing ourselves to think about what skills will we need when we come out of this. So instead of worrying about things, we won't have to worry because all those essential services are free. Therefore, we're not getting any poorer. We're just standing still. Or treading water is probably a better analogy. We're treading water, but instead of just feeling like we're not getting anywhere, we can then set our sights on the future and say, well, what can we learn now? What would I really like to do with my future? How would I really like to spend it? And we can focus on those things. So we can learn new skills. We can get ourselves fitter. We can concentrate on our own personal growth and the personal growth of people around us. We can be caring and supportive. We can exchange our skills, our gifts, to help others, to help our community, to help our neighbours. So this is our alternative. And that way, instead of everybody creating so much debt, which is going to be hard to picture by the time we get to the end of it, the money is just on hold in hibernation. And when we come through this crisis, when the vaccine's available, when we can truly and freely move again, then we can restart the markets. The money will still be there. So the governments will have money then to kickstart economies around the world and get everything going. The other advantage of this free essential human needs, which I've mentioned, is that no one is left out. And so the poor, the homeless, they're not left out either. They don't need to scrimp and scrape either. And so we look after the most vulnerable in our society just as much as we look after everyone else. So everyone actually is getting a free go for the time, and a fair go for the time that we need to be, being careful and saving each other by not infecting each other. So that's a thought for today. Maybe you can follow me on Twitter, where I'm expressing these views. My handle is TIME-BASED, time-based. And you can look and find out more about realtimeheartbased.com anytime you wish. We will always update our site.